I was going to do a kind of a short video. I just published a video on Windows XP Delta, and I got some comments, regarding, using Windows XP, and how, if you have an old, computer laying around, you might want to use Windows XP, or, I'm just a Windows or a Linux zealot, or, that stuff. But I actually just deleted one of the comments because it was kind of, it wasn't, it shouldn't have ever been, published or put on the page, because it was rather, used kind of foul language, and it didn't really make a lot of sense. So I just actually deleted it. But anyway, this video is all about Windows XP, and kind of to let you know that, the reality is that, there's still quite a bit of, companies and individuals that actually still use Windows XP, just because, it still works. And, why replace something that works? Some people just don't. And so, anyway, I guess, I have this web page here. It's Enlease FT. But anyway, it's kind of just has some statistics on, basically organizations or companies that actually still use Windows XP. And obviously you can see right there, it still shows 57,062. But the only problem is that I was hoping that, there was something as far as the date on this, so it wasn't, maybe it would be, more timely. But, even today, I think that those numbers might be right in line with, the large number of companies that still use Windows XP, just because, the reality is, it obviously costs a lot of money to, upgrade hardware and systems and stuff like that. And some companies that maybe don't, make a huge profit, just can't spend, the money to upgrade hardware and operating systems and so forth and so on, and they just have something that actually works. And the reality is that, I know I hate to, say it, but there's a large portion of the electrical grid that is controlled by Windows XP computers. I'm not, I don't have any data on that, but if you do a little bit of searching, you might find out more information on it. But I don't know how true that is. But I guess the information that I knew of was not more than a few years years ago, and so I don't know that there's been a lot of upgrading done. But anyway, I'll just kind of go through this and kind of give you an idea. Basically looking at XP customers, and the relationship, or basically what their the company actually does, like or the part of the company that, or the section of the company that actually runs more copies of Windows XP. And it looks like obviously the largest part is obviously the EIT part, and then basically software comes in second. And basically it says that obviously it's still I don't know how, like I say, I don't know how timely this is, but I'm just going to assume that it might be fairly recent. And based on that assumption, it still says that 58% of Windows XP customers are in the United States. 10% are in India, and 7% are in the United Kingdom. So you just kind of see that breakdown. All the customers that are using Windows XP, 20% are small. So essentially, going back to that, basically, if they don't have large profit margins, or they're not a huge company, they might be possibly a lot more resistant to upgrading things that just work. And so some of this stuff just goes through that. But I guess I personally, I guess I mentioned in other videos, obviously I'm a Linux user, but I still use Windows. But the version of Windows isn't always. I don't need to use the latest and greatest version of Windows to do what I need to do in Windows. So I have almost every version, well, actually, starting from Windows XP on, I do have installations of those within a virtual environment that I can actually use. But I normally just use. I hardly do anything in Windows, so I can usually get by using Windows XP. But there are certain things that I need to run in like Windows 10, or I could possibly use Windows 7 or so forth and so on. But like say in my case, I have a Windows installed so I can actually dual boot it, but I hardly ever do. And if I do, it might be because I want to play a game. Like in Windows 10 or 11 or something like that. If I can actually get all the video software set up properly. But that takes me back to another reason why people may want to use Windows XP is obviously they want to play old games that were originally developed for Windows XP. And it might be obvious to some people that it's easier to try to install something that was developed for Windows XP on Windows XP rather than trying to install it on a newer operating system like Windows 7 or something like that. But anyway, so obviously, there's going to be people that are possibly just going to use Windows XP for their playing retro games, and that's all they need. So that's always a possibility. And there's just some people that it's just essentially good enough for their use, and so they're not going to spend any more money on something new, because what they have works just fine for them. So the reality is that there's always going to be people that are going to be using Windows XP, and just because some other user doesn't see why they should be using XP doesn't mean that they're not going to be using it. So I just kind of decided to make this video to show that the reality is that there's still people companies and individuals that still use Windows XP. It might be a very small share of the total population of computer or operating systems use. At I guess it says pretty much about 1.5%. But if that's all the users out there, using a computer, that's still quite a large number. Assuming maybe there's maybe even just 1 billion people using a computer. Maybe it's a lot less than that, but 1% or 1.5% of 1 billion or 1 million or something like that is still reasonably large number. I guess I'm not going to do the math or anything like that, but you just you have to realize that obviously you know a small percentage of a very large number is still quite a few computers using XP. So I just basically wanted to do this video just to make just to just to point out that people still use Windows XP, and there's a reason they do. And I just made the video on setting up Windows XP Delta because uh, there's going to be people that use it in a virtual environment. There's going to be people that still have old hardware, and other things that um, they might still be able to use Windows XP on. And I'm not suggesting anyone that wouldn't just use what they need to use. So anyway, I guess I'm just going to end the video at that, and just I appreciate you watching it, and hopefully you see you in the next video.